Hello internet, my name is Lave and I watched Star Trek Picard episode 2. Now, I don't normally do reviews on TV shows, especially on an episode by episode basis, so I'm going to try and keep them as spoiler free as possible in terms of the larger plot details, but there might inevitably be some spoilers for episode 1, which if you haven't seen, you can watch my review of by clicking on the link up here or down in the description. If you haven't seen episode 1 and you don't want anything spoiled from that, you might want to consider beaming out of here. Star Trek humour. So episode 2 is called Maps and Legends and continues with Picard, who in the last episode met Darge, a mysterious girl asking for his help from some unsavoury characters, and having discovered who she might be, the former captain is now investigating who is coming after her and her twin sister working somewhere out in space. So yeah, it's more of the same, although it's not quite as action-packed as the first episode, apart from the opening scene which goes back 14 years into Picard's past to this significant moment that happened on Mars, which is actually the plot driver of this entire season. I wouldn't say it explains why this thing went down, it just shows us how it went down, and it's kind of cool. I like the fact that phasers in this actually blast holes through people and kill them in a really gratifying way. So yeah, it's Star Trek trying to be a lot edgier and a lot darker, although there were moments in this where I felt like it was trying too hard to be edgy with some questionable moments of profanity. That fucking hubris Picard, fucking hell. With regards to Jean-Luc, he's still earthbound at the moment. We see a bit more of him at his chateau, intercut with him investigating Darge's apartment for clues with the help of his housekeepers. In that sense, it still feels like it's trying to set everything up quite quickly, again dumping a lot of exposition on us. But going back to what I said in my review of episode 1, it's still giving me vibes of Blade Runner via the way of Jason Bourne. This episode as a whole has a whole espionage feel to it, with the revelation of spies and secret organisations kind of all over the place, and Picard is on the verge of uncovering it all. But before he does, he's got to get a ship and crew together, so he goes back to Starfleet to ask to be reinstated, and it doesn't go so well. We find out a bit more about how and why he left Starfleet, and they really don't see eye to eye anymore. Picard feels like Starfleet have abandoned their core values. Starfleet feel like Picard is just a thorn in their side and just want him to retire quietly now. There is a bit of name dropping in this one. They talk about his previous crew, but he doesn't want to get them involved, so he's out to recruit a new one, and we do see a glimpse of a new character called Raffi, but it's still, again, early days. We don't see too much of this new crew as of yet. We do see a bit more of Harry Treadaway's character in this episode. He's playing Narek, a Romulan investigating and going undercover in more ways than one with Darge's sister Soji. Now this side of the story involves the Borg, and I'm not entirely sure how it's going to interconnect with all of the other story threads at the moment, but it's still very much about Data's legacy. I'm pleased to see that the Romulans are involved. I'm still invested and I'm curious to see where it's going, but this episode still feels like they're setting things up and moving their chess pieces into position. But the key thing is I'm still invested and still curious to see where this is going to go. So that's my thoughts on Star Trek Picard episode 2, and pause the video if you want to take a close look at my enjoyment tracker now. Again, the most frustrating thing about this series is not being able to watch it all at once. At the moment, watching 40 minutes and then waiting 7 days does make it feel like they're cramming a lot in their 40-minute episodes, which may not be the case if I could watch the entire thing at once. On that basis, I might not continue reviewing this on an episode by episode basis. I might leave the next review for this until we're like halfway through, so I've got a better sense of what's going on and I'll hopefully be able to deliver a better review. But let me know what you thought, especially of episode 2, in the comments down below. And as always, thanks very much for checking out this review. I really do appreciate it. If you can, give it a like. Don't forget to share the live. That's a bit much.